Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Orphanlast, and today we're going to be talking about curvilinear perspective. Specifically, we're going to be talking about how I'm going to be making a comparison from linear perspective to curvilinear perspective so that you can see the differences of the two and such like that. So, and by the end of this video, I'm planning on you guys having at least a basic understanding of how to draw in 5-point perspective. By the time that this video is done, you should be able to draw in 5-point perspective. Now, you may feel as though, oh hey, you know, you just skipped, like you just went from 1-point perspective to talking about you missed 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective, 4-point perspective, and now you're talking about 5. And then there's other people that may hear 5-point perspective and think, no, there's height, width, and depth. There's only 3 dimensions, therefore 3, 3 points. Well, you're wrong. Curvilinear perspective functions under kind of a different philosophy to the approach of how vanishing points work. But anyways, let me get into this. I'm showing you this image right here because this is an image that I drew. This is one of my most recent images with curvilinear perspective. And it may seem a little weird to kind of see this the fireplace take this arc going upwards. But, you think about it, in comic books instead of cartoons, the artists are getting anime characters or whatever it happens to be, comic book characters, cartoon characters in general. They get their characters to do all these impossible sorts of poses, and just for the sake of either comedic reasons or for dramatic effect. And so why can't you do something like that with a background? But that's not the only reason why I did that. I mean, the reason is because this is more than one camera angle, all in one image. For example, here you are, you're looking at the floor, and over here to the left, you're looking at the ceiling. So this is something like a 180-degree image, and you could never accomplish something like this with linear perspective at all. There's just no way. This is directly where your left shoulder is pointing. Like if you were a giant standing in this room looking down at everyone. I mean, here's the mantle, and here's the mantle and the hearth, like you're able to see on top of the mantle and everything. You're looking down at everybody. If you were to look to your left, you'd be looking at the kitchen. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into Krita. And let's get into this. Okay, file, new. And I apologize. I usually have this deadline to meet. I try to upload a video like every Friday. Okay, I've always met that deadline. It's just I've been trying to find a free video editing program that can allow me to start making speed painting videos for you guys, because how are you going to really learn how to draw this stuff unless you actually see someone drawing it? And how are you going to show a drawing, like you drawing a picture, without it taking the span of 8 hours or so? But anyway, so picture this. Okay, this is I'm going to kind of repeat a little bit of information because some people may not have watched all of the videos, and also this is to demonstrate a comparison from linear perspective to curvilinear perspective. Okay, and also because people are of different age groups and such like that, and some people may need a better explanation over things that I've only kind of skimmed over. So we have, let's say you're in a helicopter and you're looking down at this dude who's drawing a picture, okay? So let's say this is his head and these are his shoulders. This isn't like some gigantic work of art or anything like that, okay? But just bear with me, okay? So this is him. He's looking off here. You're looking at the top of his head. You're looking at the top of this dude here, okay? So Oh, come on, computer. Okay, so this is the picture plane right here, okay? And he's drawing a picture. Alright, and in this picture there is a house, there is a road coming towards us, there's a road that's parallel to the picture plane here, or parallel to your shoulders at least. Alright, and this road just goes on forever, okay? It just goes on for miles and miles and miles off both directions, okay? And as this road continues though, it splits off into another T intersection, and so with linear perspective, the maximum cone of vision that you're allowed to have is something like a 60-degree cone of vision, okay? And so basically all it's going to include is something like this. So if he were to draw the picture, and then he were to text message a speed painting of you, or a video of him drawing this picture, this is what he would see, okay? At this point, with the editing software, I was hoping to have a speed painting process of me going through all this, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do that. So anyway, so what you would see is this. A vanishing point, you would see him creating a horizon line, and then let's pull out the assistant tool, and let's just start. Okay, so there's this house over here, right? So we go ahead and we draw out the house. Now the thing about linear perspective that I don't really enjoy is all the rules. I actually don't enjoy drawing in linear perspective at all. There's to me, drawing is the process where it's like how your brain interprets the physical world, your skill with the pencil, and how those two things translate onto a page. And linear perspective, it oftentimes doesn't even feel like art. It doesn't feel like drawing to me. It just feels like I'm just following a series of really annoying rules, and everything just has to be perfect all the time, which is extremely annoying. Even when I'm drawing on paper and pencil and stuff like that, you have to use this frickin' ruler. I don't like drawing with a ruler. I like to freehand things, and you know, if anything if you're not putting into account every last bit of the rules for perspective, there's going to always be that one guy that's like, oh yeah, you know, this looks off, you know, you didn't do this geometric thing, you didn't account for that, and it's so annoying. Like I'm more interested in how my brain is perceiving the physical world than anything. Alright, and so here's an example of me using measuring lines in order to find the center of this rectangle, and this isn't going to be the most elaborate house in the world. It's going to be something that's a little bit more advanced than what you'd expect from your 8-year-old's creation. But anyways, yeah, but it's not going to be too much more elaborate than that. So anyways, one of the things about linear perspective also is there's even a rule as to how you're supposed to create these angles. Like you're supposed to have a vanishing point, and then you're able to create this. And I think you're supposed to also have a vanishing point down here somewhere in order to figure out the downward angle as well. Which I believe, if I recall correctly, it's done with a circle and such like that. It's little rules like that kind of make it so that I don't. I start feeling really restricted. When I draw foreshortening on a character or something like that, I draw it until it looks good. Whereas with perspective, it's always as if you're always having to account for every frickin' rule that some guy created back in the Renaissance, and it's just really frustrating. I don't know what it is about perspective drawing that makes everyone so butthurt to criticize your artwork or whatever it is. But I can't say how much I'm not enjoying just drawing what I am drawing right now in curvilinear perspective right now. It's just you just have to bear with it. And there's this constant shifting of tools that you're using. I don't mind using variously different tools. I just don't like switching what tool I'm using every 2 seconds in order to draw a picture. Alright, so... And just the most simplistic house in the world can take you forever to just construct. And in the end, you're just drawing these straight lines. To me, I don't know, just drawing a bunch of straight lines just doesn't really inspire. Oh yeah, I'm being really super creative. I hope you guys understand just where what my point of view is and everything like that with this, because it's not necessarily just to hear me complain and such like that, but that you understand like the logic that I'm going under here. And I don't think it's laziness. I don't think it's oh, you just wanted to have an excuse to not draw a realistic image. I think it's more like I don't think that's art to just feel restricted to a series of rules all the time. Like, yeah, you know, you want things to be contextually in proportion, but in general, like, there's no need for it to be like, for anyone to have a heart attack if it's not mathematically 100% correct. But anyways, but yeah, I'm pretty sure there's mathematical rules that are available somewhere with regards to curvilinear perspective. I've actually found one on DeviantArt, but it's in a different language, and so it just I can only guess as to what it's talking about. So okay, so we got this house created, and so the next step is to draw this road right here. Okay, so we go ahead and we draw out that road. All right, let's get this line a little bit darker. All right, that's good. And then we just go ahead and we draw this road real quick here. And one more step. And now we have everything that curvilinear perspective is able to draw out of this image. Now, what happened to the rest of this road that I said goes on for miles and miles? What happened to all of this content, and what happened to all of this content? Well, it's not available because you only have a 60-degree cone of vision, which is from this point to this point. That's just 60 degrees. If you go beyond this point, if you go out into this area and this area, you start running into all sorts of problems. Let me go ahead and show you what sort of problems you run into. Now I'm sure that you guys remember this image right here. This is the first little rough animation that I showed you guys, and I took a break from it. One of my gripes with it is that this background. The background is not accurate. It's not just that it's not accurate. I mean, there is a level of accuracy that I want to keep inside of my perspective drawings. It's not like I want to have a complete abandonment from reality, but like this is not accurate. These buildings just do not fit with the perspective. Generally, I also look at things here, like, let me take a look at these barrels. I mean, can you get any more simplistic? This doesn't look very good. Like, there's all sorts of different things that I don't like about it. I mean, like, even these lines, like that. Why is this window so short, like horizontally, and why is it not going with perspective like these other lines? Like, little issues like that I didn't like with this background. And so that's what initially got me to talk about perspective inside of my tutorials. And so I started playing around with this in Krita, and the issue that I started to have was that, like, here you can actually see like some distortion going on right here. Not so much over here, but look over here. There's like this window looks okay. Like it looks okay right here, but for some reason it doesn't look okay over here. For some reason it looks all stretched out, and these are the sorts of problems that you can run into when you exceed past the beyond what's inside of that 60-degree cone of vision with linear perspective. And so that's the reason why you don't want to exceed past the cone of vision. It causes all sorts of really weird distortions, and it can get really frustrating. Now, with that having been said, like, even though I feel like linear perspective is restrictive, and I have so many gripes with linear perspective, I do plan on learning about it. I don't really consider myself a one-trick pony. I would like to know as much as humanly possible about just about everything that has to do with art, but well, not everything. I forgot what the movie's called, but it has Jeff Bridges in it, and he's a major pothead. And I don't know, there's a scene where there's this woman that's on a zip line, and she's just flinging these paintbrushes at this gigantic canvas, and that's not art. That's not even expression. It's just somebody who likes to go on a zip line and fling brushes around. Anyway, so the difference from a linear perspective is that instead of a picture plane, what we have is a picture bubble. Okay? And this is a representation of the picture bubble, and this picture bubble is a three-dimensional sphere. Okay, now with curvilinear perspective, you're able to draw a 180-degree image as well as a 360-degree image. Now, to cover some information that I covered earlier, only better because I don't have the 10-minute time restriction anymore. Here, a flat line that's completely horizontal is 0 degrees, okay? And so a line that is straight up and down coming from this 0 degree mark is a 90-degree angle, okay? 90 degrees. Okay, so this space, this angle, like this arc in between these 2 points is 90 degrees. So from 0 degrees all the way over to the other side of this horizontal line for the rotation to be all the way through here, that is 180 degrees. Alright, and for you to go all the way around here, oops, let's try to make this as circular as possible. For you to return back to where you started, if you were to be standing right here, and if you were to be standing right here, and you rotate all the way around, you've spun a whole 360 degrees. Alright, so and that forms a perfect circle. Basically 360 degrees is a perfect circle, or as close as you can because of pi. But anyway, so with this presentation that I have inside of this video, I'm only going to be really covering 180 degrees, which, so basically that is represented with, instead of a picture bubble, we're going to use a picture bowl. Okay, so you have that. And so let's say this guy's painting this picture inside of his picture bowl, and he goes ahead and text messages you basically a video or something of him drawing this image, and you pull out your phone and you watch him draw it. This is basically what you see. Alright, so first of all, there is a vanishing point at the very top, and it's called the zenith. Zenith. Okay? And then there at the bottom, there's a vanishing point, and it's called the nadir. Okay? And then to the left, there's another vanishing point, and we just call this west. Okay? That's the west vanishing point. And to the right, there's another vanishing point. We're going to call it the east vanishing point. And since I mentioned earlier this is 5-point perspective, the 5th vanishing point is right in the center, or wherever your vanishing line happens to be. You can actually lower these west and east points if you want. It just kind of influences how the circle is made and everything like that. Anyways, we're going to keep it in the center, and we're going to call it north. I haven't really experimented too much with moving these vanishing points and stuff around. Not too much. At least not consciously. I haven't done anything like that. But anyway, so I'm going to erase the north vanishing point for now because it's going to get in the way. But that was just to illustrate where all the vanishing points go. Now, inside of Krita, there's actually a fisheye point perspective tool with the assistant tool. Okay, and I can go ahead and click here, here, and here, kind of match it up with the circle pretty well. And I'm just going to press Shift and get the vanishing points to be perfectly round. For some reason, it's not for some reason it's not lining up perfectly with my perfect circle that I created with the ellipse, but that's fine. Okay, so the next step is to create your other vanishing points. So the first 2 clicks that you make, that is going to be like I went from east to west, and then the last one is just to inform the computer of how big you want this to be. Alright, I'm just going to place it right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the vanishing point tool and with the assistant, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out my brush. Now, as you can see, there are a series of lines that are following my brush or my mouse. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the color green. I'm also going to create a new color. I'm in a new level. And I'm going to start drawing lines from the zenith to the nadir. And for some reason, the green is still black. Alright, so let's go ahead. And the assistant isn't turned on. Alright, so this grid is basically what I'm going to use in order to, for some reason, things are not working out. Okay, I'm creating this grid just so that I have a series of guidelines, and this helps me so that I don't have to always trace my stylus to and from the zenith and the nadir, and from the east into the west and to the north and all that. I can just use these as a reference. I'm not planning on always using the assistant tool for this sort of thing, but it can come in handy, especially if you want to blow up your grid to being a kind of extraordinarily large, and you can go ahead and actually have all of your vanishing points off the page. And as you can see, I'm actually having a lot of difficulty drawing these near the vanishing point. And like the assistant tool, you don't, in my opinion, you do not want to draw your entire image using the assistant tool all throughout the entire time that you're drawing in curvilinear perspective, because you're going to get really frustrated with basically the computer taking control over your image and you not really feeling like you're able to draw anything really. Yeah. Okay, so zenith to nadir. Okay, east and west. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and just pick out the color red, and all the lines that happen to come from the northern vanishing point. That's basically what this is going to represent. Just that. Alright. Now, if you do plan on actually blowing up the image, like blowing up the grid to being a much larger size, it's really tempting to be to just draw all the lines really dark. But if you do that, if you do try to draw all these really dark lines, what's going to happen is just all around the center, you're going to have so many thick lines that you're not really going to be able to see what you're working on, where the actual vanishing point towards the north happens to be, and that can be kind of frustrating. But anyway, come on, why? I'm sorry this is taking so much time. Oh my goodness. Alright. As you can see, this is why I don't like using the assistant tool too much in the process. It's just, to me, using the assistant tool in this with curvilinear perspective is primarily just so that you can start creating a grid. Alright, you know what, that's good enough. So I'm going to lower the opacity on this layer just enough so that I can see the grid just fine. And I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to set it to black. Alright, so the first thing that we need to draw is the house. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw this house. Oh yeah, I'm still using the assistant tool. Let me turn it off. Alright, so we can go ahead and just kind of follow, like, okay, so any line that happens to be going straight up and down is following the zenith and the nadir. Okay, and so we can go ahead and kind of use these lines that we've created from the zenith and the nadir as a bit of a guideline, and that'll help us out significantly in the process. And yeah, that looks good. Alright, and all the lines that are completely horizontal throughout the entire image are going to be going from the east and the west vanishing points. And so, alright, there we have it. And now any of the lines that happen to be going, or the faces of objects that happen to be going straight away from you, that's going off into the distance, is going to be going towards this northern vanishing point. And but anyways, yeah, I'm experiencing a little bit of lag. Anyways, if you guys happen to know of a good free program that doesn't leave a watermark, that's not Windows Movie Maker, that allows you to make speed paintings, then I would really appreciate it. Now, as you can see, I am using, I am actually using basically measuring lines in order to find the center of this roof. I still do use some of the techniques I use from linear perspective, but the thing is you only want to use them in compartmentalized areas. You don't want to use them all the time everywhere. You're going to run into some problems if you do that. You just want to use them in compartmentalized areas, because, like, ultimately, if you try to use these lines as a consistent guide throughout if you try to use all these measuring lines as a consistent guide throughout the entire process, what you're going to run into is what I call contextual proportion problems. I have one image where I drew a saloon, and basically I have this little porch that should make it so that people just take one step and they're able to actually step right into the saloon. Whereas on the side of the saloon there's a staircase, and it literally takes 6 steps of the staircase for people to finally reach the porch. So either either the staircase is meant for a small dog, or no one was ever really truly intended to step on the porch. So, and that's all because I started depending too much on these guidelines, not guidelines, these measuring lines that I've taught you guys with linear perspective. You can still use them, just use them in compartmentalized areas, in a place here and there, because they're not going to be universally used. And inside of my introduction video, I actually have this, I showed this picture of these windows that were evenly spaced, but visually they weren't. Now, I try not to make the weirdest image humanly possible with the curvilinear perspective just because it's curvilinear perspective. But, you know, it can happen. It can get really crazy. Okay, so I'm almost done with this house. And, of course, you know, I don't really consider this image to be a gigantic work of art. It's just, alright, so okay, so let's just kind of draw the top of the roof. We might not actually be able to see the roof in all reality, but, you know, I kind of wonked out the lines of this rooftop, so might as well draw the top of the roof. Alright, so this is the house, and, okay, so we have a road that is coming straight towards us, okay? So let's go ahead and draw that road. Now the lines that are going towards the north vanishing point, they are supposed to be straight. They don't curve like everything else inside of curvilinear perspective. Alright, so the next step after this is the road that's going this ways, right? Now I said that it went on for miles and miles either direction, so I'm going to go ahead and start drawing that. Alright, so it's going to the west, and it's going to the east. Alright, there we have it. Alright, that looks good. And the next step after this is to draw the other portion of the road here, and it gets close to us and then it gets further away from us. Oops. Alright. Alright. I really wish I could have been able to get you guys a speed painting of this so that you didn't have to wait for all this. I'm so sorry. And then, you know, after that, we have this road out here that linear perspective wasn't able to include. And so we can actually include that right here. Alright, so if we go ahead and turn off our grid, and let me get the assistant tool and just get rid of my assistants. This is basically what we have here. One second here, let me go ahead and draw my horizon line, and then erase a good portion of it. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and treat this like a work of art and start drawing a bunch of mountains and such like that. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. I don't really consider. I consider this to be more of a presentation than as an actual work of art. But you know, this is just something that you can kind of do with curvilinear perspective and everything like that. You can. I don't want the picture to be completely pathetic just because I'm just showing you a demo. This is basically the image that you would see that was from this guy standing here. Okay? And ultimately, I think it turned out looking pretty good, considering the fact that this is just a really rough sketch. So, anyways, if this was helpful to you, if you guys enjoyed this tutorial, please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.